I just mentioned to you crop circles, mutilation of animals, and abductions of humans. When I was chief of the Fork Technology Division, I went to the general one day and it was agreed that we would start no projects in the Army, in our division, our area, with the money we had in the organization, on those three items: crop circles, mutilations, and abductions. But we would watch them. We would keep getting the reports and watch them, but start no projects, because our main objective in those days was weapons of war. We called it to advance the competitive edge of the Army. Even the beings, it didn't matter to us whether they were real or not, and it didn't matter if they came here by accident or design. But our motto was, if they're real, we're going to be ready. We're not going to sit here like stupid beings and say they aren't around. We have to work on assumptions that they are there, and we have to work on the assumption that they might be enemies. So we have to be ready. So I told the general, our main thrust, and I hardly got enough time to do what I'm doing. So what I'll do is, because I had the type of thing, I could read a document and remember it, and read it in a matter of a minute or so. I told him, I'll keep getting these reports and watch this, but we will do nothing about it. Only collect information. And for years I collected documents here at the White House, which talked about mutilations. We know about them. We made the decision that crop circles were nothing else, I guess, but integrated circuits, and we put them in an integrated circuit. They would give us a message. Abductions, we came to the conclusion they're happening, but we're not going to do anything about it, even start any projects, whether it's true or not. But we were receiving material, so I did get two of the implants. The implants are real. There's other implants which I've never talked about that we knew were real. And you couldn't take them in your hand because they were microscopic, but they were there. So the future has to go along those lines. I know from my own, when I was working at this, I know that they're real. They happen. I don't think any other of those people who are talking can say this. They weren't cleared. They didn't get the reports. They didn't have access to them. Yeah, they talked to abductee. They talked to them, and then what happens? The critic says, hallucination, self-hypnotism, and you're finished. How are you going past that? And when you can pass that, like I told this little girl, she didn't quite understand it. When I tell you that there was 2 implants from abductee, that makes you authentic. Use it. You make your living at it, and I like you. Use my name if you want to. Go ahead. Tell them Colonel Corso told me this. But it's in an area that we never did anything about. We never put out research and development projects. We never looked into the reason for it, because we had our hands full of what we were doing. That wasn't my job to do that. And I briefed the general that we shouldn't do it. Watch it, but don't do anything about it. We didn't spend the money on a penny on projects of that type. Our money went, like I told you, on a night viewing device, millions of dollars. That was a product of war. Soldiers in Vietnam could see the enemy at night. That's what we were working on, lasers, fiber optics, communication. So those were the main thrust of our organization. The extraterrestrial himself, I always say, that's the greatest gift they gave us, and we did nothing with it. And who was in charge? I was. So that meant I did nothing with it. Now, in my old age, maybe I feel guilty, and I've been writing about it now. When I wrote to my own doctor, the thing I gave you, I put it in an envelope, took it to the doctor, this friend of mine, and on the envelope I wrote, "Help, doctor." He knew what I meant, the lymphatic system. He's a surgeon. He's expert at that. He operates in that area. I'm no doctor. I can't carry that on. I don't know anything about what I know about the lymphatic system, what I read. But here's a man who saves people alive, like he saved mine doing that, knowing what's there. The lungs, not all the same thing. Experts have to come into this and look at this entity or this being. After all, he is a biological entity. All these stories of clone, oh, it's against religion, and it's awful, man wants to live forever, and it affects the emotion. That's all baloney. It doesn't enter into this area alone. It doesn't enter this area at all. Because that clone was made for another purpose. He's not in the ordinary sense that we write what clones are like. Made it for another purpose, to travel in space. They want to see what space is like. They came here. Without that, the way that was made with a flying saucer, they wouldn't even never made it here. Maybe they have something else, I don't know, but I don't know of any.
Can I switch to another subject for a second?
Yeah.
Like, there was in Brasilia, at the First World Forum in Brasilia, a guy named Cope Shellhorn. This researchers stated that in the last 50 years, maybe, but to be more precise, 35 years, 167 UFO researchers died for unknown causes, such as strange suicides or heart attacks, very sudden heart attacks with no medical records before, and eventually brain tumors and so far so on. His theory was that the UFO researchers are very keen to disappear sooner or later for no reasons, for no apparent reasons.
I can't give you credibility on that story, because with what you told me, there are many, many cases where people die from tumors when they haven't never had anything before. There are many cases when they die from disease which they never showed before. There are many thousands of cases where people never had a heart pain and die all at once of a heart attack. There's too many cases where that happens to humans. So I can't go back and say, when a doctor can come to me and say, hey, Corso, what are you talking about? I know about 1,000 cases of people died of heart attacks. I can't isolate it to the flying saucer caused that, because there's too much of that happening every day anyway.
Yeah,
I couldn't say that. No, I can't come and tell you I know.
They don't have a suicidal tendency. I mean, I don't have it.
It happens every day, suicides. You know, see, I can't come and isolate and say, I know that this happened because a flying saucer came down. I have no. A critic can come up and say, well, what about these other millions of cases happened over the ages of suicides, of diseases, of heart attacks? You see, so I don't know anything about that. I've never seen anything that can prove that. Okay. One way, prove it or disprove it. I never even bothered to look into it.
Yeah, but there's a possibility the government or the secret or inner government or occult theocracy wants to...
Rachel, you've asked me this. Yeah, there's a possibility for almost everything. But I won't talk about, if I say there's a possibility this happened, I'll say that there's a possibility, and I'll tell people there's conjecture and guesswork on my part. And that's all it is. Don't ask me for evidence because I can't supply it. I don't know it. And the same thing you're just telling me. I can't say yes, it could, that it happened. I can say it could happen, but I'm guessing.
All right, but in the intelligence field, you were supposed to eliminate enemies, isn't it? Physically.
Yes, I was in some cases.
So let's wonder for a second that the UFO researchers are enemies, are foreseen as enemies, or they're dangerous eventually.
I told you one time, for the moment, the gist of it, I did say, no, I won't come aboard because I don't trust you. You've performed too many overt acts against my people. You have killed us, you have destroyed aircraft, you have destroyed people on the ground, you abducted. Yes, I have to classify you as a military as an enemy because you have done these things. But the thing is, I never knew if they were done by design or by accident. Since we never knew this, I discussed with the general, but in case they are enemies, let's be ready. We never proved that they were enemies or not enemies. I remember on one occasion I came up with a thing, are you a friend or enemy? Neither.